we are right back in to the action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Friday edition of Before You Bet right here on the Covers YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right down there. No, baby, I am flying high today because I slept like an absolute baby last night. If you watched yesterday's show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That under bet on the game didn't work out very well, but DJ Moore, 100 or more yards, plus 650. I thought that was massively mispriced. I usually don't make bets like that. I think that's the biggest prop bet I ever hit in my life. But dining out on that stops right now because we got a lot of action to get into here for Sunday. I'm going to try to piggyback off that one, though. I do have a plus 500 prop on a wide receiver that we'll target here momentarily. So 11 total bets for the NFL. On Sunday, it's going to be me. Ro's going to be along here in a couple seconds. Then in the back half of the show, professional sports bettor Hitman will be with us, guys. If you like the show, it's easy to let us know. Hit that like button right down there. Also hit that subscribe button right down there. A lot of great content here on the Covers YouTube channel. If you're in the live chat or if you're watching the replay later on, hit up the comments section. Let us know what your favorite bets are for the weekend. Give us a little breakdown too. Let us know why you like those bets. Okay, let's get things rolling here. Let's bring in my first guest, my coworker here, the pride of Halifax, Nova Scotia, Ro. And let me ask you, Ro, as a fan of the Detroit Lions, how worried are you about the Chicago Bears now?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not that worried. Honestly, we're 10-point favorites this week. I don't think I could ever remember us being favored by this much in a game ever. The last time I remember being favored anywhere near this much, we were 7-point favorites, and we got clobbered by the Jets, and that was like 5 years ago. But I'm feeling flying pretty high right now, so I'm forgetting the what happened last night, and I'm riding with my Lions here.
All right, so quick stat on that before we get into the picks. So the Lions are favored by, you said they're up to 10 points now with the Panthers in town. They've only been favored by 9 or more 6 times since the year 2000. Now, to put that in perspective a little bit, the Chiefs have been favored by 9 or more 8 times since the start of last season. So it's a real sign of change there for your Lions. So we'll see if they can take care of business and cover that number on Sunday. So, Ro, let's get into that Sunday action. I'm going to hit lead off for us as usual. And we're going to start with my 6-point teaser for the weekend. We are teasing 2 teams up. We will be pairing the Rams up to plus 10.5 with the Jets up to plus 8.5. The Nathaniel Hackett revenge game, baby. So great cushions for both teams as we're getting both across some key numbers here. Check out the Rams here. They are closer or better than the Eagles in many key stats, despite playing better competition. These teams are tied in net yards per play. Eagles pass defense having some issues so far this season. Matthew Stafford has topped 300 or more yards in 3 of 4 games. Cooper Kupp looks set to return after practicing in full. The Eagles defense having a lot of trouble getting off the field as well. They are 25th in opponent third down conversion percentage. The Rams are second in that category. On to the next game here. The Jets will be able to run on the Broncos. Plus, they have much better defense, obviously. So the Jets rank 6th in yards per rush attempt. The Broncos 31st in yards allowed per rush attempt. Check out the Broncos defense. Probably the worst in the NFL. Absolutely in the discussion. So dead last in yards allowed per play. 31st in red zone defense. A good opportunity for Zach Wilson to have another good game. So we'll see. So we'll tease both of those teams up. On to Ro. And Ro, we're off to jolly old England for maybe a bit of an under-the-radar game, I guess. At the start of the season, I think we would have been looking forward to this a lot more, but a bit of an underwhelming start for the Jags. They are hosting Buffalo. What do you like in this one?
You know, I thought last week was a bit of a get-right spot for the Jags, and they came through there. And now I think I really like them in this spot. I'm a bit surprised, to be honest, because you look at this Jaguars team, and they came to this year, with pretty high expectations. Definitely haven't lived up to it, especially on offense, but still very talented team. And I've been hearing so much, so much of that narrative, listening to podcasts, reading about all these people that say the Jaguars are the right side this week, but this line hasn't moved. So that's a bit interesting. Jags still at plus 5.5, but definitely a big letdown spot for the Bills here, traveling across the pond, after that big win against the Dolphins last week. So it might be hard to kind of amp themselves up as much. Now they take on a Jaguars team that, played in England last week. So they've had a week to kind of sit there, recover, practice there, get the right amount of sleep, that sort of thing. And, they also have been playing, every year in London, going back almost a decade now. So this is a team that is pretty comfortable in London. They've had that week to kind of get ready for the Bills coming across the pond. Like I said, the Bills are, it's going to be hard for them to get psyched up as much as maybe they were last week against the Dolphins. You look at the Jaguars, and yeah, they've been a bit underwhelming on offense, but they're pretty good on defense this year. 7th in the league in defensive EPA, top 10 against both the run and the pass. And then you look at that offense, and yes, it's underachieved, but Trevor Lawrence has actually been pretty good. He's second in the NFL in passing grade, according to PFF. That, of course, takes into account things like drop passes, depth of target, that sort of thing. So he is performing pretty well. It's just really a matter of his receivers getting on the same page, catching those balls that are thrown to them. But I thought they came through last week, and I think they're in a good situation here because the Bills are pretty banged up on defense. Lost Tre'Davious White to another season-ending injury. Won't have Gregory Rousseau either, who's probably their best edge rusher. So I think this is a really good spot for the Jaguars to at least cover and keep things close.
Indeed. Yeah, I kind of like that bet. Looking forward to that one on Sunday morning. Next up, let's take a look at Sunday night, another standalone game, probably the game of the week. The Dallas Cowboys in San Francisco taking on the 49ers, and I'm going to take San Francisco to cover that -3.5 point spread. This is a massive step up in competition for Dallas. They go from playing the Giants, Jets, Cardinals, and Patriots to possibly the best team in the league in the San Francisco 49ers, who are absolutely destroying everyone right now. And check out this tear they're on at home. They're an insane 15-2 ATS in their last 17 games at home. They won 12 of those 17 games by 15 or more points. Just absolutely rolling right now. So what will the path to victory be? I think it will be on the ground. Dallas is getting chewed up on the ground, 26 in yards per rush allowed. San Francisco runs it at the second highest percentage, third in rushing yards per game. So I like San Fran to keep rolling on Sunday night. Let's roll into your next pick here. This looks like a fun one. Chiefs, Vikings in Minnesota. I think it is the highest total of the week.
Yeah,
what do you like in this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one, and there's a couple of narratives that I kind of want to go against, so I'll get into that, but I'm on the Chiefs at -3.5. This number opened at about -5.5. We've seen a lot of money come in on the Vikings, so down to -3.5, still sitting above that key number, though. So the two narratives, the big one, of course, Minnesota has been killing itself with sloppy turnovers, especially in the red zone at the start of the year. And so there's always this narrative that, positive regression is going to set in. They'll be able to put up points once they cut down those turnovers. But I have a hard time trusting this Minnesota offense. And it's fair to say that giveaways aren't merely bad luck. But they're also a symptom of poor decision-making and execution. If a team has, one game with a lot of turnovers, that's one thing. But when it happens repeatedly, you've got to really start questioning the players that are there. Guys like Cousins who've been there. And yes, he can throw the ball, but yeah, he also makes some dumb decisions. The other narrative I kind of want to get around is this idea that bet against the Chiefs when they're big favorites. First of all, they're not big favorites in this spot. Second of all, they're on the road here, and they're actually, looking back over the last 3 years, they're almost 500 as a road favorite. When they're a road favorite under a touchdown, they're actually slightly better than 500. So, I mean, it's not something you're going to automatically fade them on the spread just because they're a favorite, even though that seems to be a big talking point over the last year and a half when they're getting some massive spreads a lot of the time. This isn't a huge spread, and I really do like this number. You look at it from a matchup perspective, and the Vikings blitz at the highest rate in the NFL, 57%, but they have the fourth lowest pressure rate. So they bring a ton of players on the blitz, but then they don't get any pressure. That of course leads to quarterbacks just picking them apart. They have an opponent pass efficiency rating of 111.11. They're allowing opposing QBs to complete 76.6% of their passes. That's one of the highest numbers in NFL history. Of course, we all know that Mahomes carves up teams that blitz against him. He entered this year with a pass efficiency rating of 111.7 against the blitz. So I think he's in a great position to bounce back here. And on the other side of the ball, let's not forget that this Chiefs defense has been really good. 5th in the league in defensive EPA, 3rd in success rate. So I think they're going to be able to do their part to slow down a Minnesota offense that might be a tad overrated. Yes, Cousins has been throwing for a ton of yards, but he's been really relying on Jefferson there. And that running game has been really inconsistent. So give me the Chiefs here.
Okay, to a fun, possibly high-scoring game to what I think will be a low-scoring game. So I've taken the under in Saints games all season. All four games have gone under, and I'm not going to stop now. We have a perfect pairing for a low-scoring game. They're in New England versus the Patriots. Give me under 39 in this one. So the Saints are on an under tear right now, under in 13 of their last 14, including 10 straight. 10 of these 14 games had 35 combined points or less. So just rock bottom scoring. In Saints games here, average combined score of just 34.5 in their games this season, just 38 in Patriots games. Both teams having a lot of trouble moving the football, 24th and 29th in yards per play, but pretty good on defense. Each is in the top 8 in yards per play allowed. And you just look at the scoring from these teams this season. They've combined to score fewer than 20 points in 6 of 8 games so far this season. So not very good offensively here for the Saints and Patriots. A bit of a snooze fest in New England, hopefully. Okay, Ro, your final bet of the show, your favorite prop of the weekend. What are we looking at here?
Sure is. I'm looking at Bijan Robinson, big time running back for the Falcons. We know they love to run the ball. We're seeing his rushing yards total at about 77.5 right now, opened at 75.5 at most books yesterday. Obviously, it's been bet up already. I'd be willing to play this all the way up to 79.5. This is just a fantastic matchup for him. Taking on a Texans team that, easily the worst in the league against the run last year, didn't really improve in that area this year. 24th in the league in defensive rush EPA. And, it is still relatively early in the season. Sometimes with a smaller sample size of 4 games, you could see 1 or 2 bad performances really spike those numbers. But that hasn't been the case for Houston. They've allowed at least 110 rushing yards to every opponent this season. So this is a team that constantly gets wrecked in the ground. And now they're taking on a Falcons team that loves to run the ball. They run the ball, at about the highest rate in the league. It's been that way since last year. Bijan Robinson, of course, is one of the top young running backs around. He's cracked the 100-yard mark in 2 of his last 3 games. He ranks 4th in the league in run grade per PFF. So he's a guy that, has high quality of runs as well. And the other thing as well you got to look at is that Tyler Algier has not played well for the Falcons. And because of that, we've seen Robinson see his carry share kind of increase every week. It was 38.5% in week 1, increased in week 2, increased in week 3. Week 4 was a season high 63.6%. So he's getting a larger share of the carries out of the backfield as well. That makes me even more likely to love him in this spot. So give me the over there. This might be one of those spots where I might even look at a milestone for Bijan, see what that 100-yard mark milestone sitting at.
Yeah, we like those around here now. One of those coming up momentarily. So back to me here for 2 more. Another game with a low total. Ravens Steelers sitting there at 38 points. Low number. I don't think it's low enough. Give me the under in this one. So the last 3 matchups between these teams have seen combined scores of 29, 30, and 29. Pittsburgh offensive line is getting absolutely dominated. They're allowing the second most pressure this season. They could be in a lot of trouble versus the Ravens, who are 5th in sacks. Pittsburgh has scored fewer than 10 points twice already this season. They are 27th in yards per play. Baltimore's defense 1st in yards per play allowed. And that clock is going to be moving. Ravens run at the highest percentage in the NFL. They're going to try to control that clock, that and a lot of empty possessions for Pittsburgh. I think that is going to lead to a low scoring game. Okay, guys, now it is time for a big swing, hot on the heels of that DJ Moore plus 650 winner last night. Plus 500 on this one. We're going to take Garrett Wilson to have 100 or more receiving yards, plus 500 over at Bet365 as of Friday morning. So Denver is getting absolutely lit up by number 1 receivers. The last 2 weeks, they've allowed a combined 288 yards to Tyreek Hill and our guy DJ Moore. Jets are letting Zach Wilson throw 35 or more attempts in back-to-back games. This includes a pretty impressive one last week, Sunday Night Football in the spotlight versus the Chiefs. 39 throws. He connected on 71.8% of those passes, and a lot of those passes are going in the direction of our guy, Garrett Wilson. 14 targets in that game. He's yet to have a 100-yard receiving game this season, but it is coming, hopefully, on Sunday in Denver in the Nathaniel Hackett revenge game. Ro, do you buy into the Nathaniel Hackett revenge angle in this one at all?
I'm not sure if I do, but I love that play because I think Wilson's an absolute stud, and yeah, I mean that Denver defense has just fallen off. One of the best in the league last year to one of the worst this year. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but I'm fading them every chance I can get right now.
So I'm on here, Ro, bragging about the DJ Moore plus 650, a full unit bet. But here's the thing: I had him on my bench on my fantasy team last night. I got a stacked team of wide receivers. I know we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking fantasy, but I left DJ Moore on my bench. He had like 52 points. I don't know if anyone's going to top that this season, but the hitting the plus 650 bet kind of cushions that blow a little bit. So, Ro, before we let you out the door, tell us a little bit about what you have going on over at Covers this week that the viewers can check out.
Definitely check out my CFL plays. Only 4 weeks left in the CFL regular season. Still a lot of value in betting CFL, but it does get really tricky. A lot of teams start clinching playoff spots. Some teams have no motivation. Some teams, have players that just want to get the hell out of Canada, and other teams have, young players that are like itching for these roster spots and are fighting to stay there. So lots of value if you follow the CFL. I love the CFL, so make sure you follow my picks on the CFL scene because there's definitely some value towards the end of the year.
Yes, sir. Head on over to the Covers homepage and find the CFL section. Check out Ro's content there. Ro, thank you very much for joining us today. Best of luck with your bets on Sunday. We'll catch you again next Friday.
Best of luck.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's keep on rolling into our second guest here. Professional sports bettor Hitman is with us with his 3 favorite plays of the week. Hitman, how you feeling going into week 5 of the season here?
Ready? Can you believe that it's a month in? A month down. We got like 4 months left to go. So it's I'm ready.
Yeah, the Super Bowl will be here before you know it. So let's get into a couple selections here from you and then a couple questions on the back end of that from me. So we have this Eagles-Rams game. I took the Rams on a teaser. I like teasing them up, getting them outside of 10 there. What do you like in this matchup?
I like the Rams +4. It looks like we're getting Cooper Kupp back, which obviously, I mean, the Rams have a pretty good weaponry now of receivers. When you get Tutu Atwell running these clear routes, Tyler Higbee, a decent tight end, Kupp, and now Puka Nacua playing together. And I have them rated as an above average team. I'm a lot higher on them than especially what the market was coming into the year. They have the same yards per play differential as the Eagles this year. Now, obviously, they're not better than the Eagles on a neutral or nothing, but we're getting 4 points in this game. Matt Stafford leads the league in big-time throws, playing really well this year. Philly's pass defense, every time that they've been challenged, even if you look at last year, when they played Dak and Dallas, gave up a lot of points. When they played Mahomes in the Super Bowl, gave up a lot of points. They had such an easy schedule of opposing quarterbacks last year that the secondary never really got tested. Now you look at them this year, Kirk Cousins torched them through the air. Mac Jones had his best game of the season. Sam Howell, the same Sam Howell that couldn't perform against Chicago, had a big-time game against this Eagles pass defense. So I think that this Rams offense is going to be able to move the ball. And on defense, they've exceeded expectations this year. They're top 10 in success rate. They're familiar with this offense because they just played Anthony Richardson and Shane Steichen's bootleg version of the Eagles offense last week. So give me the Rams +4.
Music to my ears on that one. I like the Rams as well. Okay, so a bit of a tricky game here. We have one team that's absolutely rolling in the Houston Texans, back-to-back 20-point wins. They're in Atlanta taking on the Falcons. I think the Falcons have scored 13 points in their last 2 games combined. Tight spread in this game. Who do you like?
I like the Falcons -1.5. And eventually these offensive line issues for the Texans have to rear their ugly head. Now, I know that they might get either one or both of Howard or Tunzel back, but they're still missing the entire interior offensive line, and it's hurt them in the run game. Dameon Pierce is the worst success rate in the entire NFL. So Houston's really relying on just explosive plays from CJ Stroud, but the Falcons defense has been super underrated this year. They're 5th best in explosive plays allowed percentage. They're 6th in yards per play. They held the Lions to 20 points. They held Jacksonville to 16 points. And Atlanta has a really good matchup with their run game against this Texans run defense. The Texans run defense is ranked 32nd in the league by PFF, and we know that we don't want Ritter throwing. We want Atlanta to have to be able to stay in their offense, run the ball with Bijan Robinson. So I think that we're going to get a game script where we could have a big game from this run game, and this Falcons defense can show up.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how that one plays out. Okay, let's wrap things up with a trip to Prop City, Montgomery rush yards. How do you think he fares on Sunday?
I like David Montgomery, and the Amon-Ra St. Brown likely or questionable ruling, likely to be out, questionable ruling tag is only going to help Detroit run more. And they don't need a lot more motivation to run more. I mean, they're 7% below in pass rate over expectation, 31st in dropback rate this year. The Panthers are a run funnel defense. They're allowing 5 yards per carry to opposing running backs. Lions, 10-point favorites, so we can expect that the game state is never going to get away from David Montgomery. And Montgomery this year, 3 games played, at least 16 attempts in every game. And the Lions wins 21 and 32 rushing attempts for David Montgomery. So I think we're going to get volume. I think it's a good matchup. I like Montgomery over this week.
Okay, one game you don't have a pick for, but I want to get your opinion on one of the more debatable matchups this week. It's a funny matchup. We have the Bengals, probably the biggest underperformer so far this season. They are in Arizona taking on the Cardinals, who have been competitive so far this season. Bengals dead last in net yards per play this season. 2 separate games where they've only scored 3 points. You can blame some of that on the Joe Burrow injury. The defense hasn't looked good either. But the look-ahead line on this game was 7.5. Now it's all the way down to 3. I think I saw it inside of 3 at 2.5 there yesterday. Now, some might argue, hey, that line on the Bengals at -3, it's a trap. Some might say good buy low spot. What do you think of this matchup, and what do you think of the Bengals going forward?
You know, a lot of times you could treat these games and these teams like the stock market, like buying low, selling high. And if you're looking at this game, the Bengals are probably at the lowest that they've been in 2 years right now, stock-wise. And Arizona, considering what they were looking at coming into this year with a season win total closing 3.5, they're probably at the highest right now that they've been. So you, I haven't bet Cincinnati yet, but that's where my lean would be. You can't. I just can't. I can't play it. I can't play Arizona at +3 when it's just the buy low, sell high theory. So, but for the rest of the year, I'll tell you what, Bengals have a bye coming up. Maybe look to start betting on them after that bye. Burrow has another week of getting healthy. Maybe that's the time that we jump on this Bengals offense, because we know they do have a lot of playmakers and a lot of talent.
Yeah, they have a high ceiling. I mean, they have started slow in previous seasons. This season's a little bit different because it's dragged out through the first month of the season. But I do think it sets up nicely for Joe Burrow in that pass attack. The Cardinals' pass defense isn't very good. That said, though, the Cardinals are running the ball very good, and the Bengals aren't stopping the run very well. So potentially a higher scoring game there in the desert. I got to get your opinion on Cowboys 49ers, biggest game of the week. 49ers favored by 3.5. I took them to cover that number. What do you make of this matchup?
So I'm not going to go straight up head to head with you because I haven't bet the game. I don't think I'm going to. But if I did, I lean towards Dallas, but it's not that much of a strong opinion. And the reason that I would lean towards Dallas is just because Purdy, as good as he's been over the last 9-10 games, he does struggle against pressure. He's faced a really easy schedule of opposing defenses in all of his starts. The only time that he didn't was when he played against Dallas in last year's playoffs. And Dallas did hold this offense in check, only allowing 19 points in that game. So, I mean, Dallas, they get some offensive linemen back this week. It's a game that I don't know if I end up having action on it with the spread or anything. But if you force me to take it, we'll go head to head. Maybe we'll bet a beer on it or something, Joe, with Dallas.
expensive beer, fancy one too. So before I let you go, I want to get just some general advice from you. So there's probably the majority of the audience for the show is probably casual sports bettor, people betting, you know, 10, 25, 50, $100 on a game. But you got these games a lot differently than the rest of us. So what is a tip maybe for a good starting point or just some general advice you would give to a casual bettor looking to bet on the NFL?
Number one is bankroll management. Number two is make sure you sign up for all these sports books and shop the lines, especially if you're going to be betting props. I mean, the difference is if you're going to be betting a spread, like it's all right, 1.5 to 2 on Atlanta is everywhere. It's not going to be that much of a difference. If you're betting props, you could find 76 yards on Montgomery compared to 70 at another book. So have a lot of accounts, sign up for all these places, manage your bankroll, and that would be the top two that I would say. If you do that, you're almost cutting the vig out away from the sports books just by line shopping. So that's one of the most important things that you could possibly do. And someone like me, I have hundreds of outs that I bet into. You don't have to go as crazy as I do. Just having 4 or 5 and shopping lines like that, having a few bucks in all those accounts, can't recommend it enough. And you'll be amazed by how much money you save over the entire season just by laying minus 105 instead of minus 110 or taking a 3-yard difference, something like that. So totally recommend doing that.
Yeah, it really adds up, especially over the course of the entire season. So you would advise steer people away from the 8-leg parlays for football every weekend. Then is what you're saying.
You know, NFL, some people say it stands for no fun league. And when it comes to the NFL, for me, it's the no fun league because I don't like to do a lot of that stuff with many of the same game parlays and the 8-leg parlays and everything. I typically recommend people to stick to straight bets. But then again, you know, if you just want some action and you're putting a few dollars on a parlay, why the hell not? But just don't plan to make a living betting these long shot 10-team parlays, as you said.
Yeah, I've learned that the hard way over the years. I steer clear of those. I still do the teaser every weekend, of course, and have some fun with that. And I will take a swing like one I gave out earlier on the show. And yeah, sometimes just for fun, if you're betting $25, $50, it's okay to do. But like you said, it's definitely not a responsible way to be spending.
Teasers can be very profitable, especially if you're teasing through that 3 and 7. Teasers can be very profitable, and I love to tease. So agree with those.
Yeah, shop around on teaser prices too. I think it was one popular sports book they were doing them at like minus 136, I think it was at the start of the season, and some are still keeping it minus 120, and different prices all over the board for teasers as well. Okay, Hitman, we will leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us again. Best of luck with your bets on Sunday, and we'll catch you again next Friday.
No problem. I'll see everybody next week. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. A little bit of a blip there with my audio. We are averaging about 1 technical difficulty per program, but pretty much unscathed here. So if you're just tuning in, let's do a quick recap of the bets that you might have missed off the top of the show. We'll start with my 6-point teaser for the weekend. I like the Rams and the Jets, teasing both of those teams up. I like the 49ers on Sunday night. I like a low-scoring one in New England, under 39 with the Saints in town. I like a low-scoring one in Pittsburgh, under 38 versus the Ravens. And taking a swing on Garrett Wilson, 100 or more receiving yards, plus 500. I don't know if you heard, but I hit DJ Moore, plus 650 last night. Everyone's talking about it. Okay, Rose bets for the weekend there. He likes B. John Robinson, over 77.5 rushing yards as his favorite prop. He likes Jags in jolly old England, and Kansas City Chiefs minus 3.5 in New England. And if you missed Hitman, he gave out Rams to cover the spread. He minus or plus 4, plus 4.5 at most books. Falcons tight spread there, and he likes David Montgomery to go over his rushing yards. So there we have it. We're off to a great start to the week here with a couple winners yesterday. So hopefully we'll carry that in to Sunday's action, guys. If you like the show, You know what I'm about to say. It's easy to know that you do. Just hit that like button right down there. Hit that subscribe button right down there as well. Lots of great content here on the Covers YouTube channel. We have previews for every single NFL games. If we didn't cover them on the show here, you can find them right there on the homepage at the Covers YouTube channel. I think there's a golf tournament this weekend that we have a video up for. There's a UFC card. A little bit under the radar, but some pretty good betting spots on that as well. So check that out if you like the UFC, if you like golf. And, of course, our college football videos with Brad Powers. Those are cut out and they're on the YouTube channel. So make sure you check them out. That does it for this edition of Before You Bet. Best of luck with your bets on Sunday. We will see you again on Monday. Woo!